Sol 5.6 and Fable 5 are OpenAI's and Anthropic's best models, but if we put them head-to-head, which one would actually win? To find out, we ran 5 complex tests using the exact same prompt, and the results shocked me because the final rankings were really close. We tested them on 5 parameters, each one designed to test a completely different ability. Stay till the end, because there's a tip for you on which model is best for your specific use case. Here's exactly how we're running this. I've got paid plans on both Claude and GPT, and I've created a Sol versus Fable project inside both. Every test will be conducted inside that project using the same prompt, with no follow-up or guiding. Our first parameter is execution, specifically one-shot execution quality. Can the model take everything it knows and turn it into one clean finished product on the very first try, with no back and forth? To test this, we're building a game called Gravity Flip Runner. You remember Chrome's dinosaur game? It's similar. But instead of jumping over cacti, you're flipping gravity. So let's give this prompt to both of them, Sol 5.6 with high effort and Fable with high effort, and send. Quick context. GPT actually showed its generation time on screen, and Claude doesn't display that anywhere. But since I was screen recording the whole thing, I timed it myself. So whenever I give you Claude's time, that's coming straight from my own recording. Both are now reading their site building and front-end design skill. Sol decided on a high-contrast neon arcade visual direction. Fable started creating the HTML file, and after 3 minutes and 20 seconds, it was done. Sol finished after 10 minutes and 40 seconds. Let's look at Sol first. Nice UI on the home screen. Neon theme, name in the center, instructions that say space or click to flip, and a start button. Visually, it looks good. Name at the top, live distance score, 3 hearts for lives. Everything I asked for is on screen, but once I start playing, the first thing I notice is that it's slow. Really slow. I know it's designed to speed up over time, but even accounting for that, the opening pace feels sluggish and doesn't pull you in. Second thing, when I hit the flip button, it doesn't feel like gravity flipping. It feels like there's a spring and the character is just bouncing off it. The core mechanic isn't landing right. And the third thing that actually breaks it, if I hold or keep pressing the flip button while the character is in the air, gravity just keeps switching over and over, and the character hovers in midair. Technically not wrong, but it completely defeats the point of a gravity flip game. This has turned into Flappy Bird with a different look. Now let's see what Fable built. It also has the name in the center, instructions, and a start button, visually clean. Score counter at the top, a velocity counter and timer on the right, and lives shown as hearts. Gameplay-wise, honestly, this is really good. The physics feels correct, gravity flips properly, and there's no weird spring-like bounce. When I held the flip button midair to test the edge case, it worked perfectly. No hovering. I'm enjoying this one more than Sol's output. Round 1 goes to Fable. It used its own judgment to figure out what I actually meant, not just what I typed, proving better one-shot execution quality than Sol. Watching a model build a game is fun, but it doesn't tell you if that model can think deeply. Building something in one shot is a different skill from planning something where every decision matters. Our second parameter is planning, specifically multi-step autonomous planning. Can the model actually think several steps ahead on its own, without the user making every single decision? To test this, I gave both models a real trip I'd actually consider. 9 days across London, Paris, and Amsterdam. A fixed budget of $5,000, with specific interests like history and art museums. A complete day-by-day itinerary that fits inside the budget, with realistic travel times between cities. And at the end, a full breakdown of exactly where the money went. I also asked it to flag anything about entry requirements or visas I'd need to know. This prompt isn't testing if the model knows cool places to visit. It's testing if it can hold a budget, a timeline, and a set of preferences, all at once. Fable on the right was showing all the sources it was referring to. Sol was doing everything under the hood. Fable finished in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Sol took 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Both came back with a plan. And if you just glance at them, they both look good. But I went deep inside and found some very interesting things. Let's start with Fable. The itinerary says London 3 nights, Paris 3 nights, Amsterdam 2 nights. But look at the actual day by day. On day 7, it arrives in Amsterdam. And by day 8 evening, it's already back in London, sleeping in a hotel near St. Pancras. That's a 4th night in London and only 1 night in Amsterdam. Even in the cost breakdown, it bills 2 Amsterdam nights but never charges for that 4th London night. Another thing I caught, in the intercity travel section, trains are budgeted at $320 total, but in the cost breakdown, it uses $300 for that same line. Another inconsistency. Now the big one. Fable spent a total of $3,400 for the complete trip and left $1,600 unspent. That's only using about 2/3 of the budget I gave. Sol spent $44.47 and left $553, using about 90%. Leaving money unspent isn't a crime, but look at what Fable compromised to save it. It excluded Versailles, one of the most historically significant sites in all of France. The reason it gave, it would take half a day plus $35. And I specifically told both models that I'm into history. Sol gave Versailles an entire day. Day 5, 8 in the morning to 5:30, and still came in under budget. On timing, I specifically asked both models to tell me what time I should realistically travel between cities so the schedule doesn't overlap or leave gaps. Fable's answers are things like morning at the British Museum and afternoon at the Tower of London. That's fine, but it's not a schedule. Look at what Sol gave: 8:30 to 10:15, immigration and baggage, 10:15 to 11:15, Elizabeth line into the city. It does this for all 9 days. But the next thing is what separates a model that's planning from a model that's just writing. Look at this line in Sol. If your flight lands after 10:30 a.m., skip the prepaid Abbey slot and move it to day 2 morning. Think about what that line required. It had to analyze that Westminster Abbey closes to tourists mid-afternoon, realize it had already booked a paid ticket on arrival day, and identify that my flight time is the one variable it doesn't control. And after all that, it wrote me a backup plan for the version of the trip where things go wrong. That's planning. To be fair, Fable did some things better. It put entry requirements at the very top before the itinerary, because that's what you'd sort out first, and it explained the Eurostar border process really clearly. But round 2 goes to Sol. Both of them wrote a good trip itinerary, but only Sol wrote a trip that survives reality. That test showed us which model plans like it's actually thinking and which one is just filling a template. Our third parameter is precision, specifically instruction fidelity. When you give a lot of requirements at once, does the model actually follow every single one of them? Or does it just grab the general vibe and produce something that feels right? To test this, I used a prompt to build a landing page for a pair of headphones. The prompt had 9 hidden details the page must include. Let's see if both models actually execute all of them. I'll track results with a checklist. Let's start with Sol. Visually, the website looks professional and polished. Nice grid design in the background. Going through the checklist, background and accent color correct, check. Tagline says, immersive details, effortless comfort, engineered for the way you listen now. That's 11 words. We asked for under 10, so that's a fail. 3 feature cards, 6 specifications listed as given, exact marketing line, price at $179 with no decimals. Button text reads, get yours today. No reviews, testimonials, or FAQ, check. Sol followed 8 out of 9 details. Now Fable, very minimal design. Background and accent color correct, check. Tagline, it's over 20 words, so Fable also fails this one. 3 feature cards, price at $179 with correct format. Button text correct. No reviews or testimonials. Fable also scored 8 out of 9. Is this a tie? I don't think so, because there are a few other things I noticed. Both failed to keep the tagline under 10 words, but Sol missed it by 1 word, and Fable missed it by more than 10. Sol's page looks like something a brand would actually use. Fable's looks like it was built by someone still figuring out the tools. But here's the thing that matters more than both of those. Fable added a line that says, free shipping, 30-day return, and 2-year warranty. I never mentioned anything about shipping, returns, or warranty. Fable didn't just miss an instruction. It invented a business policy. That can be a bigger problem than missing a word count. So, for Sol, -1/4 point for missing the tagline by 1 word. For Fable, -0.5 point for missing by a large margin and inventing new details. Round 3 goes to Sol. Precision was about reading instructions carefully, but do these models actually understand a situation, or are they just good at following the surface of what you said? Our fourth parameter is judgment, specifically reasoning under ambiguity. When a model doesn't have all the information it needs, does it notice and ask, or does it just create a hollow answer and sound confident about it? To test this, I used a real pricing dilemma. I have a fitness app that's been stuck at the same number of subscribers for 6 months. New people keep signing up for the free trial, but aren't converting. I'm stuck between 2 options: lower the price or add a more expensive tier with coaching. The catch, I intentionally left out key metrics: conversion rate, competitor pricing, churn data, and other numbers you'd actually need to make this call. Let's see if either model catches it. Both models responded, and neither asked me for anything. Fable says it would pick the premium tier. Saul says to keep the plan at $14.99. Fable says the trial conversion is an activation problem. Users didn't complete enough workouts and didn't see progress before the trial ended. It didn't ask why people are leaving. It just assumed a reason, and then told me to send an email to non-converters asking why they didn't subscribe. And why? Because in my prompt I said I don't want to guess. So this model told me to go ask. Saul also lands on the same thing, just in different words. People may not be experiencing enough value during the trial, but Saul does something Fable missed. It pulled real numbers from Apple Fitness and Peloton memberships, cited actual industry data showing health and fitness apps currently have a conversion rate of around 37%, and suggested running a proper controlled experiment. Neither model asked for my data. Fable came up with a fast, cheap, and actually pretty smart approach. Just go ask real users. Saul used real market data and suggested a proper experiment design. This one is a tie. Both landed on the same conclusion without asking for any business data. Half a point each, making it 2.25 for Saul and 2 for Fable at this stage. Every test so far gave a blank page and asked the model to create something. But that's only one way people use these tools. The other way is handing it something broken and asking it to fix it. Our fifth parameter is diagnosis, specifically debugging and verification. Can the model read code it didn't write, understand what it's supposed to do, and find the one thing that's wrong? To test this, I built a small shopping cart and planted one bug inside it. If I add a laptop, a jacket, and coffee beans, and calculate the total without any discount, the subtotal comes to $720, and after tax, it's $780. That's correct. 10% tax on electronics, 5% on clothing, 0 on food. But if I apply the clothing 50 coupon, 50% off clothing, and calculate the total, the discount shows as $100 off the $200 jacket, but the tax is still $60. 10% of 500 is 50, plus 5% of 100 is 5, making the tax 55 and the total $675. Even after the discount, tax is being applied on the original price. I'll give both models the project file and just say there's a bug giving the wrong total. Let's see if they can find and fix it. Fable won on response time again. Let's look at what they both found. Both models found the same file and the same exact line. Both identified the getCategory discount amount function and said to subtract the discount before tax gets applied. So both fixed the bug. But Fable caught something extra that Saul didn't mention. It noticed that the bulk 10 path just above already does this correctly and just mirrored the fix. That shows Fable is a sharp reader of the code base. It wasn't just patching a line, it was understanding the pattern around it. But then Fable trips over its own explanation. Earlier it says a $200 jacket should be taxed $5, not $10. Then later, summarizing its own fix, it writes that a $200 jacket with the coupon was taxed $10 instead of $5, making the total $115 instead of $110. Let's do the math. 200 minus 50% discount is $100. Buggy tax is $10, so buggy total is $110. Correct tax is $5, so correct total is $105, not $115. Its own summary doesn't match its own example. A model explaining a math bug, with a math error in its own explanation of that math bug. Saul's response is a lot tighter. No leaked internals, no numbers that contradict themselves. It states the bug, fixes it, and done. Both fixed the bug. Fable showed sharper code reading. Saul showed better self-discipline. 1 point each, making the final score 3 for Fable and 3.25 for Saul. Saul wins this entire competition by just a slight margin. But that doesn't mean Fable is useless, because which one is better has no value until you know what you're actually using it for. Here's the tip I promised at the start. If you're building something from scratch, an app, a website, a game, a blog post, a script, a presentation, social captions, go with Fable. It understood what I actually meant, not just what I typed. But if you're planning something with real numbers and data, a trip, a budget, a schedule, a spreadsheet, a meal plan, a workout plan, or anything with a deadline or a dollar figure that has to add up by the end, go with Saul. That's exactly where it pulled ahead. If you disagree with any of these calls, tell me how you would have scored it differently. And if this was helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more breakdowns like this. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.